Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy is not here, but we got a couple special guests in the building. The legendary Steve Stoute is here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And a young man named Choppa. What's happening, Choppa?
What's with it?
I just started hearing about Choppa because Choppa turned down a $3 million record deal to sign with your UnitedMasters.
Yeah.
And you know, Steve Stoute doesn't really roll with artists that much.
Yeah, I've never
new artists
seen
like
this in
that.
years.
So
Yeah, like I figured it's important to come and support this young man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's important to come and support this young man because he made a very important decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he decided to be independent, to own his rights, and go with an independent company. And a lot of young guys, 16 years old, would have taken the money, obviously, and we know how that all ends.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, nobody ends that story doesn't end well. I've never met an artist in my life that ever said one of the best decisions I ever made was signing with a record company.
Well, Choppa, how did you come to that decision to be independent?
Really, just owning all your stuff. Cause like, I think a lot of rappers when they sign, they think short term. Excuse my voice, but long term, like, you're not making no money off the, you know what I'm saying, the song, because at the end of the day, the label own that song.
Mm-hmm.
But if you own your music, you know what I'm saying, that's your song, you making money.
Have you watched other people's stories and been like, I don't want to end up like that?
Yeah.
You 16 though. Like, listen, I love it because a lot of people, they don't have that type of vision. $3 million is a lot of money, What makes you think I'm going to be able to make more than this in the next couple of years?
What makes me think that? Well, it's really just when you feel, I ain't no cocky type thing, but it's like, you know your worth type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, $3 million, you know what I'm saying? Like do you think I'm worth $3 million? I think I can make more than $3 million.
Yeah.
Without signing it.
Boy, this the white man's worst nightmare, Steve. Black people, young black men knowing they worth.
Own it, yeah. Well, look, I've always believed that record company contracts were very similar to sharecropping, right? Like, you don't really own the shit, and they make you believe you own it. And
it's a bank.
He's gonna make it's a usury bank loan.
Mm.
Like bank loans, there's laws against the amount of interest you can charge on a bank loan. Record company contracts are just bank loans with the most ridiculous interest rates. If you ever calculate it, that would be against the law. But it's worse than that because they actually own it.
Mm.
And this is an example of what's yet to come. These changes take place over generations. So you got a 16-year-old guy who says, you know what, this is what I'm doing. And it changes a generation that goes, you know what, I don't need this anymore. Instagram and social media is the new MTV, and Apple and Spotify is the new record store. What do I need you for?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it, I mean, this guy put out the music on his own. I mean, song in a month is at 15 million views on YouTube. What does he need a record company owning that for?
Mm.
That's all. And yeah, everybody should know, you know your worth. You know your worth. He knows his worth. I certainly know mine. And like, that's the way we move and going forward. That's the power that we all possess.
How does
UnitedMasters?
Yeah, how does that work? How does UnitedMasters work?
We're a distribution company. He's not signed to us.
Mm-hmm.
We distribute the work that he owns.
And I own it. Wait, you said that.
Yeah. We distribute the work that he owns. So we're just a distribution partner for him. We allow his music to go from the studio onto Spotify, on to Apple. So we distribute to all the streaming platforms.
Tidal.
And they push it. They push it just like a label would do.
Mm-hmm.
But you own your music.
What is UnitedMasters? For people who don't know.
Distribution
company.
I know, but I'm saying for people watching who just...
For people who don't know what it is, if you're an artist and you want to get your music out all over the world, but you don't want to sign to a record company or a record company hasn't contacted you, you can put your music up on YouTube on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. But to get your music on Amazon, Tidal, Apple, Spotify, you need a distribution company to do that. And we also not only distribute it for you, but we collect on your behalf and pay you the money on your behalf. So it's basically a service that allows independent artists to get their music distributed and to collect the money and pay them.
And then he pays you out of that money.
Yeah.
Okay. For the services that you provide.
And he sees it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
It's transparent. So whatever the money that comes in is earned, he sees it. It's not like, don't call. I'll call you when the money comes in and checks in the mail. Nonsense. Record companies, they'd pay you. They'll give you an advance, and then you'll get like a statement once every 6 months. You get paid over long, long periods of time. He sees it 7 days, 14 days, 28 days. You see exactly what your song generated, and you get paid that money.
Now, what if he needs marketing, promotions? Does UnitedMasters provide those services also?
Yeah, that's why we're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because Choppa, you would not be here if you was not signed to UnitedMasters. With these start, right?
I didn't say that, bro. I didn't say that, young man.
Y'all got a partnership with the NBA, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Well, that's another thing that we did. We decided, not only do we want to do distribution, but we want to provide, to your point, services. And one of the services, my strong set, my skill is in brands. It's what I went from music and I built an advertising company, as you guys, well, if you don't know, now you know. I built an advertising company. And I wanted to be able to bring that service to artists that were signed to UnitedMasters or was working with us. So the NBA is our first partner with many more partnerships to announcements to follow, where we allow your music to actually be used in all of the NBA content. Mm-hmm. The NBA has 1.5 billion followers with their social footprint. They have 26 billion views of their content. All the music that's behind that all goes to UnitedMasters.
How much does UnitedMasters take from the artist?
10%.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the deal, but if you're just distribution with zero services, you just go through our service, it's 10%.
Mm-hmm. So so it's distribution.
Yeah.
And then what else?
Well, distribution, then you can get marketing.
Okay.
You can get
PR.
Marketing, promotions, and all that other stuff as well. A la carte, right? But you own it outright, and that's what we charge.
And then I'm sure you guys set up partnerships also, like some branding opportunities because of your expertise with that, with translation. Now I can link you with some of the clients that we have. So now you could be in an ad for this. You could be doing a...
And we started that. I mean, that whole rappers and TV commercials and getting those brand deals, I started that in 2001. And now to be able to have a company where it's a music company and it's connected to a branding company it's actually always been my dream. So I'm proud of that.
Is it easier or harder to get advertisers to buy into rappers now?
It's so much easier. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, man, it was hard to get. I'd literally go in there and try to get Jay-Z deals, and that was like the first artist who believed in me doing that on his behalf, and it was super hard because of all of the stupid shit, like a drug reference in a song, or he wasn't big enough at the time, and they didn't know the difference between what was great and what was just good, which is a lot of the problems in the world today. Is people don't know the difference between good and great. So literally, they would pick a artist that looked more famous. There was a time when guys like Ja Rule sold more records than Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, let's get Ja Rule. Like, no disrespect to Ja Rule.
It's always disrespect.
Why does Ja Rule have to keep getting these shots this week?
I'm just using an example of an artist who sold more records. Okay.
He's going through it right now.
Nelly.
Okay.
Yeah, he sold more records, so they'd pick him instead. But yet, there was no way of understanding that this man actually moved the culture. So working with brands back then was difficult. But now when you see Wiz Khalifa and his kid in the Oreos commercial, it bugs me out. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, all the shit that Wiz Khalifa did, nothing was ever wrong with it. But the fact that it's Oreos. That's like the Good Housekeeping seal of like brands. It's like Cheerios, Oreos. And to get him in that, I know how far the world has come in accepting the art form to be able to move commercial products at that level.
What's the first one you cracked in that arena? Was it Jay?
It was right at the same time. It was like all the Reebok shit. So it was Jay-Z and his sneaker, but it was also Allen Iverson and Jadakiss.
Oh,
you remember that?
Right. I remember
that became a mixtape, but that was everything.
Now I want to ask you a question about new artists. Let's say Choppa. Is it NLE Choppa?
Yes.
What's NLE stand for? Just
No Love Entertainment.
No Love Entertainment.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just say he has an opportunity with the brand, but he's a new artist. He's not as known as a really established artist. How important is finances when it comes to making a deal like that? Because some people might feel like, okay, this is a huge brand. They want to work with you. But because you're not as big as a, say, Drake right now, this is the budget that we have? How much do you push that because it might be a good alignment for him, or do you feel like you got to show the same?
That's a great question. You got to invest in yourself. Like he invested in himself already, right? By not taking the money from a label and deciding to do it himself. He is a great, smart manager. And I'm not just saying that because she's in the room, but his mom is. Hey, Mom. His mom is brilliant. She actually believes in investing in. She owns her own business. She believes in investing. She raised this man well. So when it comes to like brand deals in the beginning, if you know that the look is the right look for you, it's the right profile for you, you may take less money because you're actually using it as a stepping stone to build your brand. NLE is going to be the next Young Money. That's what he's building. He's building his record company, No Love Entertainment. He's obviously building himself. So any partnerships that can come help advance any of those two things, in my opinion, but again, I got to check with Mom Dukes on it, is exactly what he should be investing in.
What do you recommend if it's a product that he doesn't use or even particularly like, but it's a nice check?
I don't ever agree with that. My whole thing has always been about shared values. What do you mean? You know, you and I have had conversations about this. Some of these things look so stupid, man. I can't stand it. I love the Migos. I don't like that Mountain Dew commercial with them.
You don't think they really drink Mountain Dew?
No, I don't think they really ride big wheels.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I can see that. I see what you're saying. All right. Yeah. I just thought it was funny.
It's funny. Yeah. I guess it's cool. But there's certain things when I see it, it could be so much better. Because they're so big. They're rock stars. If it was rock stars, they wouldn't ask them to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like sometimes it looks like they're making fun of black culture a little bit. And I'm really highly sensitive to that because all the work that comes out of my company and everything that I represent, it has to be so raw and honest and true. Not disrespectful, just honest and true.
What are some companies you feel like have gotten it right recently? Like some ads that you might have seen and you're like, okay, they hit that spot on.
There's a lot going on right now. Let me get back to that question on the spot. But let's talk about Shot of Flow. And let's talk about what this man is doing right now, tearing down the world. Mm-hmm.
I want to know for Choppa, like how hard was it not only to turn down the $3 million, but not to like sign a deal? Because that's everybody's dream as a young artist, to sign a record deal.
I'm gonna be honest, like it wasn't hard at all, really. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Everything you gotta do, every move you make gotta be your best. You know what I'm saying? A good move. I just feel like that move of signing wasn't a good move. You know what I'm saying? If you working hard, you doing this, you know that, you know what I'm saying, money gonna come. $3 million, that $3 million right now, but if you working hard and you know what I'm saying, working, doing what you doing, you could probably make $5 million in 1 year instead of just that $3 million you had. Then they gonna recuperate that anyway. It's just
the first thing when I sat down with him, he talked about how much money he paid for the video, and how much money he paid for the studio time, and how much money he got back. He made 5x his investment on YouTube. He said that immediately. This is like meeting one. I'm like, who talks like that? Yeah. And then like little simple things like, my favorite basketball player is Kobe Bryant because of his work ethic. I mean, I'm paying attention to every little thing because for me to put my personal energy in it, like you said, you haven't seen me with an artist. When the last time you see me?
Not a new artist. With a new artist,
with a new artist doing this. It's because of his belief in himself and my belief that independent artist is the wave of the future. That these labels, honestly, are nothing more. They serve the purpose at a time. But for centuries, all they've done is taken away. You know, I was with Al Sharpton yesterday. How did Al Sharpton get in this? I'll tell you. Well, Al Sharpton used to be James Brown road manager, right? And Al Sharpton was telling me yesterday that as many times as James Brown has been sampled in the whole thing, this man sat in the morgue for 70 days. There was not $5,000 to pay for his funeral because he didn't own the music. And we just sit when Prince wrote Slave on his face, we were looking at it like it was crazy. He knew. They put Slave in the recording contracts. The original copy is called the master, and the duplicates are called slaves.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
Oh,
and this man wrote slave on his face because he don't own Purple Rain. These things are just wild to me. And when you look at it, you know, it was like motherfuckers was hopping around, skipping and happy because they got a record deal, and they turn around and you can't pay for your funeral. Now, whether he blew the money or did whatever he did, in James Brown case, if he owned his rights, he wouldn't have been in that situation.
Right.
And I don't, even as terrible and as horrible as R. Kelly is, and the accusations of what he did and what video footage has shown, he didn't have $100,000.
Nah, he don't own his, he
$100,000.
don't own his publisher.
He don't own I Believe I Can Fly. How do you write that and not own that? I don't like any of that. I don't think it's right. I think it's taking advantage of these young men and women. And if UnitedMasters or any of the other independent platforms, I think that's what artists, he knows how to market himself. Mm-hmm. He got that 15 million views. That's him. He knows what he's doing. We don't need to own him to do that. What we need to do is help push him forward. We need to protect his rights, not own his rights.
Now, Steve, at one point you benefited from that same label structure, though, right? That dynamic between executive and artist.
I didn't. Yeah, when I was 25 years old, 26, when I got in the music business, I didn't know. I did not know. I learned it early, honestly, when managing Nas. When we would shoot these expensive music videos, everybody wanted to shoot big Hype Williams videos, and it was like $500,000, $1 million, and you didn't even realize that the $1 million was coming out of your 18% royalty. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you want the big video, and they're like, they make it seem like they're doing you a favor. They own the video, and they own your name and likeness. So, and it's an advance against your money.
Right. Even if they take you out to eat, that's still coming out of your money. Like, here, we go to dinner.
And look, we don't even have to get that petty with it. They probably be hitting you with the Ubers and the dinners, but like they definitely be hitting you with the music videos and these big expensive videos. And you young, you don't know. You don't realize. You just know how it looks when you walk outside and people clap, and that drug kicks in. People clap. You forget what our purpose is. Your purpose is to make the music, whatever your art is, spread it to as many people as you can, and then make a living off of it and own it because it's your intellectual property. That's Shot of Flow is his intellectual property. It's not ours. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't be able to just buy that. Mm-hmm.
So when did you start schooling artists to the game? Because you was like I said, you were the executive, so technically you were the master. So when you start letting them know, like, look, y'all are slaves, y'all need to learn better.
I think I look, when I wrote the book, The Tanning of America, I gave away a lot of information about the power of fellow author. Yeah. The power. Isn't that great when you write a book and you give of yourself that way?
Yeah,
it's a lot
100%.
to give of yourself. And I gave of myself. I gave all the information away about the power of our culture and the power of yourself. And I would say about 3.5 years ago, when I had the concept of UnitedMasters, I wanted to teach artists the business. I wanted to build a company. I felt like I could do good as a businessman and also do good with helping young artists. And I give a lot of those talks, a lot of credit to Pharrell. Pharrell was a very important part of helping me think through what UnitedMasters is today. Because he talked about, some of the trials and tribulations of Happy. Mm-hmm. The song Happy, as big as it was, the money that came back off that song wasn't what it's supposed to be.
Really?
Yeah, because of all of the record company stuff.
Right.
And he took me through it in a very transparent way and said, Steve, you have the power to fix that.
You like a whistleblower in a lot of ways, Steve. And I mean, in a good way, but I'm saying the record industry probably thinks otherwise.
You got a 16-year-old kid who's made a decision. This is what I'm going to do going forward. Yeah. This generation is going to change. They've already changed the music business, right? They went, forget SoundCloud rapper and that stigma. They're not SoundCloud rappers. These guys are true artists. They are reflecting the sign of the times. And the sign of the times is also owning your shit. We talk about Black excellence. We talk about the power that we have. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. Yeah. It's that everyone's talking about. Part of that is ownership. and knowing your rights, and knowing your value and your true worth. So I don't think it's a whistleblower. I think it's an extension of what the sign of the times are.
Do you think the labels are going to start changing to adapt to this now?
They're gonna have
to figure out a way that they can still maintain.
What you say, Choppa?
They're gonna have to, really. I mean, you got everybody following the same route that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? What the label's gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Just like the bank gonna close. So I had to change something.
How did the youngins look at record labels? Because back in the day, we used to Def Jam, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Universal, how do y'all look at it?
I look at it like how he explained it. But like the people that's not put on game, they look at it like, man, I gotta get signed. I gotta do this. Man, if I don't get signed, this ain't gonna happen. If I don't get signed, I ain't gonna be able to move my mom out the hood. Like that's how they look at it, but they don't understand. You just need one song. And when that one song blow, you don't need no label, none of that.
You know what? It's not easy to make one song blow. So let's talk about how you made that happen for yourself to get 15 million views, because there's a lot of artists out there that can't figure that out. They can't figure out, how do I put it together so I have a video to get on YouTube? How did you do that?
It's one thing to stand out. Facts. They just stand out. Like don't do what everybody else do. I feel like that song, just with it being Memphis in general, like I say, you had some people say, NLE, in the video he was dancing like Block Boy or something. But like in reality, this is just Memphis, like how Memphis culture and raw, everything in that video, like somebody who's familiar with Memphis artists be like, oh, that nigga from Memphis. You know what I'm saying? So it was just different, because everything we do is like different. So the video is just different. And
so you think that locally, regionally first, that's what helps you kind of establish yourself, and then it spread from there?
Yeah. And just standing out, doing something that nobody else did.
That's always been the answer. Whether it's this generation or the last generation, you don't want to be a copycat in anything, right? We laugh at those artists in hindsight. We only remember the ones that were the original articles. All the other guys that were copies, they came and went. Yeah. So to stand out, going against the grain is always that Tatiana record. That kid, that sounds like nothing out, right? Whether you like it or not, it stands out because there's nothing that sounds like that. That offbeat flow, nothing sounds like that right now, and that's why it works.
How did you feel when you saw Blueface up here? Because I saw UnitedMasters post him talking about the fact he didn't know his deal at all. What did you think about that when you saw it, Choppa? If you saw it.
I don't think about getting other people's business. Like, I ain't really care, but I was like, you know what I'm saying, you should know your deal. You should know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What'd you think?
The look on your face was like, how don't you know your deal? I mean, he should know he should obviously know his deal.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he could not know his deal. That's just how I felt about it. I feel like everybody should, whether or not he wants to renegotiate his deal or wants a better deal, or he should know his deal.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, like, you don't have to be proud of it. If you're not proud of it, just know what your deal is.
Would a company like UnitedMasters even be possible in the 90s, or do you need this social media infrastructure, the internet, to make that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. It wouldn't have been possible in the 90s because record companies, what Master P did was, I give so much credit to him because he did all of the work. They had to press the CDs, press the vinyl, everything, build the marketing infrastructure to get it done. He was truly independent. In the 90s, record companies owned distribution. So to get vinyl and CDs in stores, you had to they owned it. They basically had a monopoly on distribution. Some guys got around it, like a Master P. But in general, they owned the distribution. Now they don't own distribution at all. So between Apple and Spotify, Amazon and Tidal, those guys being able to distribute your music, and you having all of these social tools, the Instagram and the YouTube, that's what the record companies, if they mad at anybody, be mad at YouTube, be mad at social media, because artists have not only found out that they can promote themselves, they also find out that other guys are saying, fuck record companies. Mm-hmm. You know, Young Dolph is saying, I turned down a $22 million deal. Fuck record companies. That's happening all over the place. And artists are happy that they got out of record deals. Who's the girl that signed a T.I. to
Iggy Azalea?
Iggy Azalea. Tweets like, this day has come. I'm out of my record contract. The kid Earl Sweatshirt. Earl Sweatshirt. Yeah. I'm out of my record deal. They're when everybody was first happy that you get a record deal, guys are excited and tweeting that they're out of a record deal. They're the ones that are helping move in the culture to the point where artists are thinking like, why do I need this at all? Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't have been possible in the 90s because of the fact that the record companies had such a monopoly on distribution.
What have been the success stories for UnitedMasters so far? I think I heard something, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2 Chainz merchandise went up 60% with UnitedMasters?
Well, I did 2 Chainz because he's a very 2 Chainz and Future, the artist, I did favors for, where we actually we took our tech platform and ran programs for them to help them sell merch. In the case of Future, we helped his album go #1. And he's very thankful for that. And he's, like I said, he's a good friend. And Chainz, no one says no to Chainz. I mean, this guy's like the greatest politician. He's like the mayor of the music business. Chainz asked us to put our engineers on his merch business last year, and we sold out his merch in 2 days. I mean, this is the power of technology. UnitedMasters is the convergence of culture, technology, and storytelling. So the advertising agency, we just have a bunch of writers, guys who write stories all day. That's their job. Culture is music, and technology amplifies all of it. So I have a bunch of engineers in San Francisco, and they're all cued in on what's happening in culture. That's a prerequisite to even get a job working. You got to be culturally curious. You got to want to lean into what's going on. And we put the culture and the technology together, and we light it up.
Do y'all tell anybody no?
I mean, if your shit is whack, come on. If your shit is good, we also don't want to pollute the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not even trying, if you're not taking it seriously, I can't take you seriously, right?
Is there a need for physical copies anymore of music?
I think physical copies of music is now part of merch. I think it's like almost like I think merch is the business. Music is the loss leader, and the business is tickets, experiences, right, and merch. If you look at artist merch, how about this? Artist merch is going to start running up on sports licensing soon. Like for a while, for as long as it's been, this like basketball jerseys or replica jerseys, sports license material was up here, and artist merch was down here. Artist merch is going to start to run up on the sports business. I see that happening in the next 5 years.
You got your merch, Choppa? It's available on UnitedMasters right now?
Nah, ain't not yet.
Okay.
So what's the plan for your album?
I had some merch before, like artists, but it ain't look good. It ain't look good, but it was great.
So what's the plan for you now?
I got this video on the way.
For another song?
It's gonna be epic.
Okay.
Cause I'm gonna actually put thought into the video instead of just having 100 guns on one video.
I didn't want to talk about the guns.
Having a cameraman ducking.
Yeah. The guns is a little extra.
Yeah, don't incriminate yourself, Choppa.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That hasn't worked out for anybody this year.
No, especially not nowadays. Like nowadays, people are really going to jail for that. It's a guy right now, one of my homeboys, he went to jail for having a prop gun in 50 Cent's last video, Get the Scrap. And they called it a parole violation.
Are you serious?
Yep. He's doing 90 days right now. Salute to Brash. 90 days.
What?
Yep. So you better be careful.
The video with the cop cars and all that?
Yeah.
So you could have fake cop cars?
Yeah.
And that's not a problem?
Yeah. I guess.
But the
How
prop
did you get
gun.
those fake cars?
Mom, tell him no.
No. I'm talking about I need an ambulance for my video.
Oh.
That's artwork.
Yeah.
That's artwork on a minivan.
Bro.
But before you go, Steve, we gotta ask you: Do you accept Dame Dash's apology?
Yo,
What he apologized for?
If you were offended, he apologizes.
yeah. By the way, I told Dame Dash about a year ago that a lot of the things that he had said and professed during the height of his career with Rockefeller and Rockaware was way ahead of its time. I told him that, and I felt that I had to say that to him because while I was building his company, I was thinking through all of the guys who sacrificed to help pave the way, to teach in their own way that we should be owning ourselves and owning our shit and empowering ourselves. And he's on that short list of guys who did that. Mm-hmm. So I definitely called him and told him that. So, the fact that, he apologized. I didn't like the fact that he actually put me in the category of a culture vulture. That's crazy to me that he would do it. In fact, I think culture vulture is a great idea. And there are a lot of culture vultures. A lot of guys out there borrowing and stealing and ripping off the culture right now. And a lot of them are getting supported by us, and they don't even realize that they are stealing our shit. So I support the theory of culture vultures, and I would love to work with them and let's put those guys on blast. But the fact that he ever called me that was wild to me, and I hope that's what he apologized for, because there's nothing at all that I've ever done in my entire career that would even categorize me close to that. All I've ever done was push the culture forward from day one. That's all I've done. And that's all I'm ever gonna do. Mm-hmm. What success is to me is, did I move the culture forward? When I went into advertising, nobody gave a fuck about advertising. And why would you leave the record business to go into advertising? Because I want to take what I learned from the record business and put that shit in the advertising business. Nobody was gonna put Jada Kiss on TV doing a commercial back in 2001 with Allen Iverson. Who would do that? Mm-hmm. Who's gonna give Jay-Z sneakers? You think Jay-Z sneaker and 50 Cent sneaker and Pharrell sneaker has nothing to do with why all these guys got sneakers today? Mm-hmm. It has everything to do with why. That's my job. I've taken that job. So anybody who says anything to me that is not complimentary of what I've contributed to get us all where we are today is in the music business is out of their fucking mind. And they need an education on Steve Stoute to even talk about anything that's not like that I didn't push the culture forward or anyhow. I just went on a little rant. I guess I got upset. I don't like that type of shit.
Have you ever been upset at any of your people that you got with these agencies and they didn't do what they supposed to do? Because at one point Khaled wasn't losing no weight. Now he's losing weight. Did you make a call to him?
No, but I actually was involved in the Weight Watchers joint with him. Look, losing weight, obviously it's a challenge. Yeah. And to take on that challenge in front of the camera is a big deal, right? Yeah. To say, watch me, put the camera on me, I'm gonna lose weight over a period of time. And I give him a lot of credit for even doing that.
Yeah.
Working out on camera and all that. But he also was doing a lot of shit that wasn't going to help you lose weight on camera, too. It's not like he was hiding that. And now he's losing weight. So it did work, right? It worked over time. But I didn't put a call into him about that. I put a call into him about all the other stuff that he does that's great. Gotcha. He's obviously very spiritual guy. He's raising his kid in front of all of us. His kid's going to be 18 one day. We're going to be like, yo, I know this.
Remember when he was born?
Yeah. I think that's dope that he decided and he committed to doing that.
How much of Steve Stoute's resume did you know, Choppa, before you guys met?
I know none.
Mm-hmm.
He's 16.
I know. I don't know if he did some research and found out.
Very humbling, right?
Maybe Steve, heard his name or something. Did your mom know?
I like, who the little boy dude?
Wow.
Thank God for Google. Thank God for Google. It's humbling to know that, it's humbling to know that he didn't know me, but when you start asking about songs that we loved, and you find out I don't even know what that is. Who is that? That's the real humbling part. But look, we have to always reinvent ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to reinvent yourself. It's what you're doing with we all are brands, and we all have to figure out ways to stay in touch with the audience that is connected to us. And you can't be the last guy at the party, right? It's not like I'm the last guy at the party. He's not gonna know me for being what I was in 2005. 2005, he's gonna know me for what I am today. A businessman who started a company trying to help young men be able to build fortunes. That's what he's gonna know me for, and that's appropriate for where I am in life today.
Do you have a Suge Knight-like spiel to get people to come to United Masters?
Nah, nobody's getting hung out of a window upside down. There's no red carpets. There's no dogs barking.
No Source Award speech to get them to come to United Masters?
Nah, you don't need anybody up in your videos. The day you see me in your videos, the day you should not fuck with me anymore.
I'm just curious about the pitch and how everything happened, though. Like when you had your initial meeting, what made you even go to that meeting? How did it all happen? And then when you started doing research, what did you find out?
Go
Nah, I got one name. And he's gonna know what I'm talking about. KB.
That's right.
This man got a dog that work for him. He gonna get you.
A dog?
Dog.
The dog talks?
Nah.
Oh.
He's a human.
Okay. Oh, you mean a human? It's a human.
DAWG.
Oh, okay, got you.
D-O-G.
He doesn't know the lingo, so.
Yeah, I mean, Steve is rich. I was like, maybe he do got a talking dog. I don't know. Okay, so KB, he pressed you.
Yeah. He got me to really do it. He just kept, you know what I'm saying? He was blowing up my phone at one point. Like, he would send 10 messages in a row. I was this close to blocking him. I was like, bro, if he want me this, you know what I'm saying, this bad, gotta be something. So then the first time we met up, everything was making sense.
Well, we're going to revisit this conversation in 6 months, Choppa. I want to see if United Masters really does what it says it's going to do.
I love that. I love that. That's from the whole thing with artist turns down $3 million or bidding war for $3 million. You didn't even get into that. He could tell you the stories about what the record companies were doing to get him. Forget what he did with us. They were doing all kinds of crazy shit to sign him. Boom. He didn't do that. He went with us. Cool. Now, let's see exactly in real time what that $3 million looks like 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Right? That's my job. My job is to make the $3 million look like that shit was nothing. That's my job. I want that job.
What about artist development? Because, that's important. Do you think that 6 months is a good amount of time? Because sometimes it might
take longer, but the truth of the matter is artist development week for shows and visuals and all of that, interviews, all that, his voice is thinking. Artist development would tell you shouldn't be out till 2 a.m. with no coat on because you're going to get a sore throat, which is what he has.
You about to get the flu out with that wife beat on in this cold.
I know, it's freezing in here.
He got a Scully on. I got a jacket.
I got a sweater. I'm cold still.
I ain't cold.
But artist development is constantly in work as you grow your audience, as you look to capture new audiences. When he starts going to Europe, artist development, all those things are absolutely important. So I'm not saying in 6 months. I was talking about just the monetary, using the $3 million as a benchmark, right? What his run rate will be beyond $3 million is what I want to be judged on. But yes, artist development is critical when you start growing your audience.
It's hard when an artist has a big song, but then their show is terrible. And you're like, damn, that was
When was the last time you've seen that?
A lot.
Definitely.
It happens
I've seen
all
it
the
a
time.
lot.
Yes.
Here you go to the show and then you're like, yeah, why did I even come here for this one song?
I want artists to work on their shows more.
On their live I'm going to tell you artists who did a great job. Artists who did a great job. And not because he's on fire right now, but like Travis Scott really, really did the work. Like when you go to his show and you look at it, you could tell that he unapologetically studied Kanye. He unapologetically watched the game, and then used it and put himself and did his own version of it.
He had a roller coaster.
That's just really good.
Right. And you have to invest in things like that so that your show is entertaining, even though it costs. a lot of times, and even live bands sometimes at certain points are good, or some type of instrumentation I think helps. It can.
It can help. You gotta be yourself. I want to ask you guys a question, if you don't mind.
Talk to us.
What do you think about, like, what was your point of view on the Travis Scott Super Bowl move?
I mean, my whole POV on the NFL in general and just protesting is like, you're going to have people who engage, you're going to have people who choose to resist. Mm-hmm. Travis Scott chose to engage. Not only did he choose to engage, he performed, and he got $500,000 for Van Jones Dream Corporation. I thought that was dope because Van Jones and those guys are out there really doing the work. So I don't think that we should, limit ourselves. Some of us need to have these seats at the table. Some people going to choose not to want to sit at the table. Some people going to choose to sit. I didn't have a problem with Travis Scott did.
Okay, I just wanted to know. I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you didn't have any particular, and I do want to say that I appreciate the fact that he did get that donation. I think I was watching it, and it would have been disappointing for me to not have any representation.
The fact that he opened up for Maroon 5, that to me, that's trash. Mm. Maroon 5 is trash. I mean, they're not the coaches. They're not even close. Yeah. To Travis Scott is way more important than Maroon 5. That's the part that bothered me. That somebody of that magnitude, and right now just tearing things down, is playing second act to these guys. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. I don't like that the same way I don't like not owning your shit. Like, these guys aren't bigger than me. I don't care how white they are. I don't care how much radio their songs got. They don't matter like that. They don't stick. They make songs, you listen to it, you throw it away. It's perishable. Their music.
So you don't think he should have did it because of that reason?
He shouldn't have. They should have been playing. Yeah, I don't think he should.
They should have been his band.
If he was good, they should have been his band.
Well, they should have opened for him.
No, they should have opened up for him, and they should have been his band.
Or,
what do you think about the Gucci situation? No, I'm sorry. What do you think about the Gucci situation?
I think I have a lot of thoughts on that I've been trying to figure out. I do think they absolutely need diversity there. I also feel like it's a foreign company, and I don't know what the sensitivities are to certain things. I do know that turtleneck was up on the side. It wasn't like it just got put up because I have the sweatpants that's in the picture. So I had seen it, and I didn't think...
There's a matching...
No, it's not matching. It's just the picture.
I didn't know
I looked at the website like months ago, and I had seen it on there.
Okay.
And I didn't think they were trying to do like a blackface. I didn't think that was the intention of it. I thought it was just like an ugly turtleneck, and I was like, why would I want to put a turtleneck over my face and get makeup on it? That's just what my thought was. So I didn't really, and I know a lot of people had to have seen it before that because it was up for months. So I don't know that their intent was to be like, okay, we're going to do this blackface turtleneck. I do think that it's great for them to have them called out for that and for them to implement these plans of diversity that they better follow up on.
Yeah. So my point of view on it, I part of, again, moving culture forward, I put Dapper Dan with Gucci a year and a half ago to do that and put that arrangement together. And what I've been saying for years is that black people, African Americans, is the best consumers in the world because they buy products that aren't marketed to them.
Right.
For some strange reason, if something isn't marketed to African Americans, they look at it as aspirational. I want to get that, even though they're not talking to me directly. In the case of Gucci, absolutely, their intent wasn't to be harmful, but they're culturally completely unaware.
Culturally clueless.
And it's because they must look at African Americans specifically and go, they like big logos and bright colors, but not necessarily understand the depth or have any nuance to what really is offensive or not, which means they can do programs with, getting young black designers in the company and all that. That's cool. But they need like a black executive or black executives on their board. They need a diversity council. Mm-hmm. You can't sit in Italy and understand exactly the nuances without having black people over there or people that are in the culture informing you constantly. Not one day masterclass, a constant flow of information helping you stay on the right. And I'm sure they do it. I'm sure there's a Chinese version of offensive. right? They're in China. I'm sure there's.
I don't know what's offensive to people in Italy.
Yeah,
if I was to.
Exactly. We may say pizza wrong and shit. We don't even know what's offensive to them. Mamma mia.
Even watching what's happening in Israel and Palestine, I don't know the nuances of what's offensive for both sides because I don't know here.
And so you got to have. So if that's your customer base, you got to put people in there that understand it because you're going to make these mistakes on a regular basis. The other thing, I don't want this to get lost. It's not only them. By the way, this is Hermes that had Oprah Winfrey standing outside and didn't let her in the store, right? So whether it be Oprah Winfrey and Hermes or Prada with the monkey in the bag, or the brand that had the noose, Burberry. What they're all saying is we're foreign companies and we don't fucking know shit. And what I'm saying is all of you luxury brands that are sitting over in Europe that are getting our dollars, put a diversity council together, put young people like such as yourself, and be like, you have that around you. You can, if your intention is not to make mistakes like that, then you should have people around you that'll make sure that you never make those mistakes.
I think they have to know though. It's too specific. Like the Sambo lips, the monkey, the noose. Like that's too
I got a thing about
specific.
the noose.
Talk to me.
I think I told him this. I don't know who I told it. With the noose, I don't see how, you know what I'm saying, it's black, it's being black, how you can get offended by that. I look at it like this, like we wear chains. Like, do you not see that? You know what I mean?
You need media training. That is the stupidest thing
What?
I've ever heard in my life.
For real?
Yes, lynching. Lynching, you need to do the history of lynching in America, my brother.
I know that, but I'm saying, so this, you don't have no resemblance.
No.
Well, it's an actual noose. People.
No.
I was a real
noose.
noose. I thought it was just
Even
a
if they would have just
No, it
had
was a
ropes
noose,
hanging and not
noose.
tied into a noose, that was the issue. It was supposed to be a nautical theme for Burberry. It could have been just the ropes hanging, but instead it was tied into a noose around your neck.
There's a specific way that a rope is tied.
Yes.
Where it goes from, that's just a rope, to that's specifically
That was a noose.
And that is absolutely, it's so offensive. That's what got Jesse Smollett.
Yeah, that's why he used
That's
that
why he
word.
looks like a clown.
Yeah.
Because he could have said that they called me a faggot. He could have said the MAGA shit. But when he said they put the noose and threw bleach on him, it was just like, what?
That was extra.
Listen,
yeah.
that's so extra. They made them look extra deep into that.
Yes.
But let me tell you something crazy. I have a theory on the Jesse Smollett
Oh
shit.
my gosh.
Here goes my theory on the Jesse Smollett shit. He writes a letter to himself. This guy has the worst luck. He writes a letter, and he goes full Silence of the Lambs, cuts out the letters and all that shit. Jesse Smollett. He sends it to the to Fox. The executives must get it and go, think it's fucking hilarious. No one takes it serious. I'm sure he had earshot or eye shot of them not taking it seriously, and he's like, "Fuck, that shit didn't work. Damn it, it's crazy." And I'm like, the motherfucker was like this. This is Tylenol. Got white powder, anything, shit. No concern. I need something better. He goes and he stages the fight with the Nigerian guys. This guy has the worst luck because he wanted it to be caught on camera.
The cameras are
the
facing the
camera
other
wasn't
way.
I mean, the camera's racing the wrong way.
Yeah.
So he couldn't even get the camera off because to explain that story sounds insane.
But caught on camera, wouldn't they see that it wasn't white men that did it to him?
Caught on camera, his hope was, I'm just playing.
They see it. They won't. It's like,
You
that's
can't
what it
question
is.
it. You see it.
Right.
They ran up on me. They punched me in the face. They put a noose around my neck.
Threw
They
something
sprinkled
on
the
me.
bleach, kicked me
Yeah.
in the back, and ran. If you see that on camera, grainy camera, you'd be like, damn, that's fucked up that happened to him. The fact that wasn't caught on tape, now he has to explain this.
And that shit sounded stupid.
That shit
from
sounded
the
so
beginning.
stupid. They hit him with the combo play.
If it was the South, it might have been a little bit more believable.
2 a.m. outside of a Subway.
Yeah.
And he had
Chicago.
he had a, what you call it, a tuna sandwich?
Yeah, Subway sandwich. Yeah. Great marketing for Subway though.
They said he had the noose around his neck for like 40 minutes after, too.
That's what
Like,
he
why
said. He
wouldn't
said
you
he didn't
take-
even know. He kept the noose around it so the police could see it, and then he smelled bleach. If you look at the Robin Roberts interview now, it looks crazy.
It looked crazy then. When I said on the radio, I'm like, yo, the more he talks, the more unbelievable this
Then he
story
said he was the
sounds.
gay Tupac.
That was, I mean,
I think that kind of is what took it over the top.
Choppa, you don't need those kind of stunts to pop, sir. Okay? Just know that.
A gay Tupac. It's funny.
He said he's a gay Tupac. I mean, he took
That is funny.
He was trying to do it all. He was trying to turn this into his moment. And you know what? You guys are talented. You're talented. I've watched, from an outsider, I've watched you get better over time. Much better interview, much more in-depth journalistic perspective on things. Kudos to you on that. You're real talent. Unfortunately, we're in an era where fame and talent are at odds.
Yeah.
And people will do anything for fame. Mm-hmm. You know, it don't sound ridiculous anymore that Kim Kardashian made a sex tape. If you can have if you know that a sex tape can get you that, you're doing that all day long.
I feel like a lot of people try to do that after
but
too.
You're talking about,
and it didn't
all
work.
you do is go on Instagram and all you see is ass.
Yeah.
They don't make the sex tape because they don't want to get thrown off the platform, but they are doing everything to insinuate that they're lesbians, or look at my ass, or I'm selling ass, or you can get this ass, whatever. Niggas is doing stupid shit too. It's taking away from talent. That's my whole thing with him with the guns. Like, he's talented. This is a good-looking, young, talented brother. Like, the guns or whatever, the attention, we got to move away from that because I don't want the talent to get lost behind that fame shit. The fame is and there are talented people who are going like this. You know what? I'm going to opt out the talent shit. I'm going to check the fame box because that's the shit that's working. Fame is getting rewarded. And people are doing dumb shit for fame. That's what Jussie Smollett did it for. Mm-hmm. He did it for fame. He did it for attention. That drug of attention is a real problem.
And they face tattoos.
Face tattoos, doing everything to make sure you go, notice me. And you took this opportunity and you guys turned it into something that everybody around the world talks about the Breakfast Club. It's a privilege to be on the Breakfast Club. That's because your talent did that. It wasn't no stupid shit that did that.
We had some stupid shit happening here, but we didn't.
Stupid shit's gonna happen all the time.
But we didn't plan it.
Stupid shit's gonna happen all the time. But talent got you where you are, and talent's always gonna win in the long run.
I agree. Thank you.
Talent's always gonna win in the long run, and I just want anyone who's watching this to know that if you're an artist, you're a journalist, don't look for clickbait. Do the work. Don't do the dumb shit and cheat the process. Do the work. Because it was the work that got you here. It's the work that got me here. It's going to be the work that gets him where he needs to go. It's doing the work. And talent will always prevail.
All right.
All right.
My man Steve Stoute, Choppa. Give me your Instagram and all
NLE
that stuff,
Choppa.
Choppa with 6 P's.
Choppa with 6 P's.
Yeah.
What's your YouTube page?
NLE Choppa.
Okay. And UnitedMasters.com?
UnitedMasters, at UnitedMasters, UnitedMasters.com. And let's go get it.
Can we get him a sweater also so he's not running around?
Yeah,
we got a hoodie, man. We got hoodies and everything, man. You want to borrow the scarf?
Yeah.
All right.
It's the Breakfast Club.